Welcome to Camp Economics. Today we're going to learn about fiscal policy and how government decisions affect our economy. We'll also look at some real life examples and practice analyzing some government decisions. Our topic is how government decisions shape our economy, which is important because it affects all of us and will throughout our entire lives. Here is a picture that shows how money, goods, and services move through our economy. It connects households, businesses, and the government. Keep this big picture in mind as we talk about fiscal policy. So what is fiscal policy? Basically, it's how the government uses spending and taxes to change the economy. Think of it as the government's budget plan to help or slow down the economy. The government has two main tools that make up fiscal policy: spending and taxes. It's kind of like this toolbox that they reach into and take out what they need. Government spending includes things such as infrastructure projects. That's stuff like building roads, bridges, public transportation. Also, they spend money on schools. And there are programs that help people, like healthcare programs. Taxes are also important. They include how much income tax we pay, taxes that businesses pay, and taxes on the things that we buy. We're familiar with that. It's sales tax. The government can change these to make the economy grow or to slow down. So let's look at expansionary fiscal policy. When the economy is slow, the government might use expansionary fiscal policy. This means lower taxes so people have more money to spend and more government spending. The goal is to make the economy grow. For example, in 2009, the government used this to help a bit during a large economic issue or problem called the Great Recession. We will talk more about the Great Recession in class. The government also uses contractionary fiscal policy when the economy is growing too quickly. Then the government might use it by raising taxes or by spending less money. The goal here is to control inflation. That means keep the prices from going up too fast. So we have tax increases during economic booms because the prices are going to start going up and we don't want them to go up too quickly. So all of this affects us. So when the government wants to help the economy grow, we might have more money to spend, there might be more jobs, and businesses might do better. When the government wants to slow the economy, however, we might have less money to spend, there might be fewer jobs, and businesses may grow less quickly or more slowly. Fiscal policy changes how much people buy, consumer spending, how businesses invest, business investment, how many jobs there are, employment levels, and how much things cost, price levels. And this all affects overall demand for goods and services. Yeah, we're going back to that supply and demand thing. So before we go on, I want to clear up some wrong ideas. The first myth we're going to look at is that it only affects big companies. The truth is it affects everybody. You, small shops, big companies. Second, the idea that government spending always helps. More spending is better. Well, the truth is it can help, but spending too much can cause inflation, which is a fancy way of saying can make things cost more. Third, lowering taxes always helps the economy. In reality, it depends what's going on in the economy. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Let's take a look. Let's sum up what we've learned with this table. It shows two types of fiscal policy: expansionary fiscal policy and contractionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy is carried out by lowering taxes increase government spending, building things like roads and bridges, uh, spending more money on social programs, and sometimes lower tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods. Goals of expansionary fiscal policy are to stimulate growth, get the economy growing faster, to create jobs, to increase the amount of money that people spend to combat recession. And so we use it under the when to use column. We use it during recessions. We do it when many people don't have jobs, when the economy is growing slowly, and when people aren't buying very much in the terms of goods and services. Contractionary policy is carried out the opposite way. This is where we increase taxes. We cut government spending. We spend less. The government spends less. Some programs get cut. There are fewer benefits for people. And sometimes we increase tariffs there. Okay. What are the goals here? Control inflation. We want to stop prices rising too fast. We want to cool down the economy. We want to reduce government debt. And we want to keep prices stable. So we use contractionary fiscal policy when inflation is high, when prices are rising too fast, when the economy is what we call overheating, growing too fast. It's not sustainable. Can't keep going like that. We don't want to have a big crash. We want to slow it down gradually. During times of very fast growth and when people are spending too much money. It's important to note that tariffs, which are taxes on goods from other countries, can be used in both types of policy. They can be changed to either help or limit economic activity through international trade. Understanding this table helps us see how the government can use different tools depending on what's happening in the economy. They choose the policy that best fits the current economic situation. Now let's look at some real examples to understand this better. We're going to be going through 4 scenarios today. The first one we'll do together, and then scenarios 2, 3, and 4 you will analyze on your own, and then I will explain them on the video. So the first scenario, let's look at the context. We're imagining that the government decides to spend $500 billion on building and fixing roads, bridges, and public transportation systems across the country. This is a huge project that will take 5 years and involve working with state and local governments as well as private companies. So let's stop and think about this for a minute. There's some questions that we need to ask ourselves. Is this helping the economy grow, or is it slowing down? What might happen right away and what might happen later? What problems could this cause? So that first question is it an expansionary or a contractionary fiscal policy? Well, it looks like this is helping the economy grow. The government is spending a lot of money, and we call that expansionary fiscal policy. So immediate effects, it creates a lot of jobs, especially in construction, but also people who design the bridges and design the public transportation. We've also got the people in the government. So this creates a lot of jobs and brings money into the economy. Workers then have more money to spend, and then because you have money to spend, you go out and you spend it. So we have 3 major things. It's creating jobs, it's giving people money to or people are earning money to spend, and then they go out and spend it, which helps businesses. Later, long-term effects, we have improved transportation. So travel might become easier, might become faster. People can get to services that they couldn't get to before. And it can improve your quality of life. Businesses also might move to areas with better infrastructure, and houses in these areas might become more valuable. but there are risks involved here. Okay. The government might owe more money if they don't have enough money to pay for it. So increase government debt. Okay. That might lead to an increase in taxes. There may be problems deciding which companies get the money and how to use it. The projects might cost more than planned and take longer to finish, and some businesses might have problems while roads are being built. So we've got benefits, but we've also got risks. So now what we're going to do, the next three scenarios, I will explain the scenario, and then you will analyze it using the same method we just used. You're going to use the fiscal policy scenario analysis form to analyze the scenarios. An important note, you're going to listen to me explain the scenario, then you're going to pause the video so you have time to analyze it. When you're done analyzing, then you'll go back to the video, and at that point you can listen to my explanation. So, the first scenario, imagine there's a big health problem that's hurting the economy. The government decides to give each family $2,000 to help. They hope families will use this money to buy things, which will help businesses and the economy. So we're going to stop and think, is this helping the economy grow, or is it slowing it down? What might happen right away? What might happen later? What problems could this cause? Now I'd like you to pause this and analyze this using your form, and when you're done, come back and unpause the video. Let's see, this is helping the economy grow. The government is giving money to make people spend more. So that means it's expansionary fiscal policy. Right away, families have extra money to spend. This helps businesses, and it gives some families the financial help that they really need. Later, it might help the economy keep growing. Families might be able to save money, okay? And saving money will then increase future spending. They're able to do something that they haven't been able to do. But there are risks associated with it. The government might owe more money. Things might cost more too if too many people want to buy stuff. It could cause inflation. And it only works if people spend the money instead of saving all of it. Good job with that. Let's move on to our third scenario, less money for schools. So now we're going to imagine the government doesn't have enough money. They decide to take $300 million away from schools. This means less money for after-school programs and teacher pay. The government says they need to save money, but many people are worried about how this will affect students. So let's think about this. Is this helping the economy grow or slowing it down? What might happen right away? What might happen later? What problems might this cause? It's time to pause the video, work through the analysis, then unpause it, and we will go ahead and discuss it. Let's check. This is slowing down our economy. The government is spending less money. So immediately we would see less money for school programs, teachers may lose their jobs, schools have fewer resources. Later, students may not learn as much. Students may fall behind. It would affect jobs in the future. It would affect the larger atmosphere of education in the future. Potential risks and challenges. Parents and teachers might get angry. People might not trust the government's decisions. It could hurt the economy in the future if students aren't prepared for jobs. So let's take a look at scenario 4. Increased taxes on high earners, also known as higher taxes for rich people. So this is our last one. The government wants to raise taxes for people who can make more than $200,000 a year. They want to use this money to help poor families with health care and education. Some people think this is fair, but others worry it might stop rich people from starting businesses. Let's think about this. Is this helping the economy or slowing it down? What might happen right away? What might happen later? What problems might this cause? Now you're going to pause the video, fill out your sheet, then come back and we'll take a look at what I've done for this. We're going to look at the analysis together. Okay, let's review. This is slowing down the economy. The government is taking more money in taxes. So it's a contractionary policy. Right away, there's more money for government programs and rich people might spend less. Later on are long-term effects, more money to help poor families, and money may be shared more equally. Equitable distribution of wealth in the community means that people are sharing and getting a similar amount of wealth. Risks and problems. Yes, rich people might not start new businesses. They might move away. The economy might slow down if people spend less. And some people may be angry about paying more taxes. Taxes are not very popular. So hopefully you did a good job on that. If it was challenging, that makes sense because this is a new idea. And I am happy to answer questions at any time. Let's take a look and finish it up. Let's remember that government decisions affect everyone. You, me, and the people down the street. There's always a balance between growing and controlling the economy. And these decisions affect your personal money also. So keep watching how the government's decisions affect the economy. What they do today shapes our future economy. Thank you for listening. This is Camp Economics, and that's our lesson on fiscal policy.